Hello, welcome back to YouTube Portfolio, the portfolio run by YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about the company Snowflake from my perspective as a software engineer. I'm not going to be going over numbers or anything like that, just what I think of them personally as a software engineer from a perspective that is inside my realm of competency. Before we do that though, this is YouTube Portfolio. Remember, if you want me to buy or sell stock, all you got to do is leave a comment down below. We'll check back in every week to see how our portfolio did. Last week we bought Palantir. We bought $5 more. We put in $5 quite a while ago, and it has done really well. In fact, it's still our best performing stock, up $3.52, which is pretty good since we put in $10. There's our total return there. Since last week, we're up 2 cents, which is pretty good, especially with the big drop off that happened here. That was from, I believe, Palantir and GameStop had a pretty bad week, but that's all right. Anyway, let's get into the video. So today I want to talk about Snowflake. Snowflake is a company that IPO'd pretty recently, and if you don't know, their stock has just been on a tear. They're up 43% in the past 3 months, which is since their IPO, and their market cap is about $107 billion. They've gotten some pretty big investors. A lot of people like them, and I wanted to talk about what they look like from my perspective as a software engineer. So let's first talk about what they do. If you look at their homepage, data cloud, that does not tell you really at all what they do. Well, data science, data engineering, data lake, data warehouse, data science, bunch of stuff, bunch of business jargon that Silicon Valley investors and stuff absolutely love. But I'm gonna tell you exactly what they do. They are essentially a data processing company. Now, they process data that sits inside of AWS or Azure, Microsoft's cloud, Amazon's cloud or Microsoft's cloud, and they just process it, make it a little bit prettier for you, and they make computing allegedly faster, although I'm not really confident in their alleged performance boost. They say they use this fancy version of databases, but I'm not really confident that the speed boost would be there, but I haven't used the service, so I don't personally know. If you're thinking, well, this sounds like Excel, then you would be almost 100% right. Watching their tutorial video, it was pretty much just an Excel problem. The only difference was instead of a few hundred rows, it had a few million rows, which isn't really a problem. You can easily find systems that can deal with this. In fact, their main competitors are, yeah, you read that right, Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, Google, and then just a bunch of other companies that you really don't want to be competing in a space with. So let's look at what they're actually competing with Amazon Web Services. So they're competing with the service inside of Amazon Web Services called Redshift. Now, Redshift is a database service that is pretty similar to Snowflake, but is internal to Amazon Web Services, so it's not its own company. You don't have to pay some additional company on top of Amazon to access this. So let's read the key differences. Snowflake charges compute separately from storage on a pay-as-you-use model. Now, this just means that normally if you wanted to take data, you'd store it somewhere and they would charge you for storage. Now, this storage cost is astronomically low, especially for the system that Snowflake is using in AWS, which is called S3. It's not that important, but it's really low. This is generally not a huge problem for people to pay for their storage. Snowflake has better support for JSON-based functions and queries than Redshift. Well, I hope that you can read that and just say, better, what does better mean? This is an engineering company, this is an engineering problem. You can't use the word better, that doesn't mean anything. Snowflake offers instant scaling, whereas Redshift takes minutes to add more nodes. Well, this is just the size of the database. Snowflake can expand quicker as you add data than Redshift, which apparently takes more time. The use case of this, it's not super important in my opinion. Honestly, usually you have a lot of space and you have warnings and you never have to expand your database on the fly really quickly. Snowflake has more automated maintenance than Redshift. Once again, when you see something like more, you want more information. You don't just want them to say more automated maintenance. Tell me what the extra automated maintenance you have is. This leads me to believe that they probably really don't have more automated maintenance. Redshift better integrates with Amazon's rich suite of cloud services and built-in security. Does that mean anything either? Better integrates? Not really. Redshift Spectrum extends Redshift searches across S3 data lakes. This last one is pretty fancy. It's pretty hard to understand, but basically it just means instead of using this database service they're using a different database service, which isn't really all that exciting. This is a lot of technical details. Sorry for the long, boring explanation, but let's get into the really interesting part. Now, Redshift is their main competitor in Amazon Web Services, and let's look at the valuation of Amazon and Amazon Web Services versus the valuation of Snowflake. So Amazon is valued at $1.58 trillion, which is pretty much 15 times what Snowflake is valued at. All right, so right here we can see that Amazon Web Services generates $3.54 billion in revenue, and Amazon as a company makes about $6.33 billion in revenue. So Amazon Web Services is about half. We can go back to Amazon's valuation and say maybe Amazon Web Services accounts for 1 trillion. 1 trillion in Amazon's market cap, whereas all of their other businesses combined only count for 0.5. Now, this is a very, very generous valuation to Amazon Web Services as part of the Amazon stock and the Amazon company and umbrella. Now, that would mean that Snowflake is 1/10 of all of AWS. I remind you that Snowflake has no servers. Snowflake is competing with one service of AWS. By the way, Amazon Web Services has this many services. Now, some of them, like support, obviously aren't going to make Amazon that much money and don't contribute to their market cap. But look in this analytics tab. Amazon Redshift is not the only analytics thing they have. They have a bunch of other analytics things. Snowflake is competing with this service of all of these services, and their valuation is 1/15 of the entire company of Amazon. We're talking the entire retail segment. We're talking all the things they own, like Twitch, IMDb, Amazon Prime Video, all of these things that Amazon owns and has a stake in. 1/15 of that is what Snowflake is valued at, and this one line right here is what they're competing with. So what do I think of Snowflake? Well, I think Snowflake is this company that has attracted a lot of VC money because it's used data terms and a bunch of cloud terms that people who are in Silicon Valley really like to hear and really want to invest in. When in reality, their product doesn't hold up to snuff and isn't a good competitor to the people that they're hoping to compete with and hoping to take customers away from. Overall, I think they're significantly overvalued. However, I am always very hesitant. When companies like this tend to do really well, people think that they're revolutionary. And I think it'll take a long time for people to realize that not only is Snowflake not revolutionary, but it generally isn't even that useful. Thanks for watching. Remember, this is YouTube Portfolio, so if you want me to buy or sell stock, all you gotta do is leave a comment down below. If it is the most upvoted, rated, highest rated comment, that is what I will do the next week. Make sure you check back in next week to see how our portfolio did and what stock we bought.